Let's go ahead and hit the record button.
Let's record.
We bees recording.
Heck yeah.
Give that last throat clear. I'm still fighting with these friggin' allergies since.
I mean, it's not going to get any better. All this shit's getting knocked out of the trees by all the rain
and the 80-mile-an-hour winds. Well, we'll talk about that momentarily. Good afternoon, everybody, and yes,
afternoon.
It is truly afternoon, which is a rarity in Shiftless World.
I think this is the first one we've done in the afternoon that I recall.
I'm thinking it could be wrong, and I'm pretty sure this is the first one we've done in the rain as well.
We did another one. We've done two inside, maybe three inside
one
because
was
of weather.
Cold, and wintry mix and all that good stuff.
That's fair.
That doesn't count in my world.
I feel like we did one in the garage before. Well, I know we did one.
We did one in Caleb's
place, yeah. And we did one in the living room.
Okay.
And then we did one in the breakfast nook.
Okay.
Once we started doing in person instead of the Zoom stuff.
I hear you. So, hey, Brad, tell us about today's weather.
Oh, well, it's great weather if you're a duck. Although it's too windy. It is super windy, but it looks promising. If you look over your right shoulder, you'll see there's some blue.
Oh, I see blueness.
Blue. So I decided to run out to the grocery store before you got here, and when I walked out of the garage, it was just a wall of black right there, and I was like, "Where'd this come from?"
Yeah, the drive up was disconcerting.
Yeah.
Getting blown across the interstate. I was not expecting that by any, and I was getting all these flood warnings.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it had rained that much.
I checked yesterday about noonish, and we had received 2.6 inches of rain in the last 24 hours in Argyle. And I don't know how much merit I put in that. I don't run a rain gauge here.
Sure.
I tend to believe it. The ditches have been full. What was it? Monday night, Gage and I went climbing up in Denton, and we went to get a bite to eat afterwards, and the bottom just fell out. I mean, fell out. It was, I haven't seen it rain that hard since we were riding to Alvord.
Well, I mean, the reality of it is if we schedule a gravel-thon, we can pretty much count on flooding the Trinity River at that point. So hopefully it'll be down by Sunday.
How close is the Trinity to flood zone?
I was caught off guard getting the flash flood warnings popping up on my phone on the way up here. So I'll look into that when I get home tonight.
Yeah.
I think we got enough time between now and
Sunday. I didn't know all this was coming, all this wind. I wonder, there's not a front behind this. It's supposed to be back to 70-something tomorrow, right?
I think this is that big old super low pressure that they were expecting to completely discombobulate our eclipse viewing.
It's a couple of days late.
But late's relative, off schedule from what they were initially predicting. But
how was your eclipse viewing, by the way?
It was an adventure. It was very good. We ended up going to Oklahoma and making sure that we would have clear skies, and it worked for us.
Whereabouts in Oklahoma? I asked this because my buddy called me from OKC and was like, "I'm thinking about coming down to you," and I was like, "Well, you can, but
right." Well, because that would have been just an easy jaunt right down 35W.
Yeah.
So basically, it was the southeast corner of Oklahoma. That was the only part of Oklahoma that was totality. Basically, the Broken Bow area. Basically, the Wood Ape Ramble area.
Yeah.
The Ouachita National Forest. So
did you guys go on the east side of Broken Bow Lake?
We traveled that way, but we ended up viewing up towards Talamina Scenic Byway, just below it a little bit.
Yeah.
Three Sticks Monument is where we stopped.
How was? Did y'all make movement on Monday to go up there?
Yeah,
because it was a knee jerk thing, right?
Well, not so much knee jerk as well. We're gonna make a last minute call Monday morning because everything was just changing and so iffy, and so I'd mapped out several possibilities, but nothing was getting more definitive prior to Monday morning. So it's like, well, we're going to crawl out of bed and figure out which way we're going. And we opted for the Oklahoma, which did that on the conservative basis. I was very confident we would get totality there.
Yeah.
I was pretty confident we'd get it closer to home, but it wasn't enough of a sure thing for my comfort level at that point.
Well, we stayed right here.
Okay.
And we went up on the pool deck because we had a nice opening there. And we had a couple of friends come over. We made a little cheese board, had a little wine, and we had an incredible viewing. It was cool.
Fantastic.
I don't know. We had totality, but it seemed like it was just for a moment.
Yeah, this would have been like right at the edge of it, so I would assume less than a minute for sure, probably less than 45 seconds here.
It was effing cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I'm torn between how convenient it was to just walk out the back door.
Yeah, I get that.
And still felt like I got a tremendous show. Torn between that and should I have traveled, hours to hopefully be in a better spot, But it was really cool. I mean, we watched it over the course of hours. We came out and checked on it and, continued doing stuff. And when it got about halfway covered, we went out there and just kind of planted up and just kind of periodically checked on it. And when it got real close, it was so whipping cool. And that last little whisper where it just went away, I was like, oh, that's so cool. It was so cool. And then just like, we had heard and I guess understood. I didn't.
You can't understand until you're in it.
I didn't get the gravity of it at the time, but the temperature dropped very gradually heading into it. And then all of a sudden there was like no wind, no birds chirping, nothing was going on. And as soon as it started to come back, it seemed like it warmed up a lot quicker than it cooled down. And when it was about halfway, maybe 3/4 of the way uncovered, the birds started chirping again. The wind picked back up. It was pretty interesting. That could have been coincidence, with the wind at least, but it was whipping cool. I was not prepared to be that floored. And Paula's so cute. She was like, "Oh my God, it's gone. That's so cool." I told her, I said, it's a good thing we're not recording. Somebody would have thought you were cheering for a fight on like World Star Hip Hop or something. She was so excitable. It was hilarious. Oh, but so it was just you and Jan?
Yeah, just Jan and myself on that, and the dogs.
Yeah,
we drug the dogs along with us. And we turned it into a pseudo scouting trip as well.
Sure.
I had an initial destination in mind, Fort Towson historic site, and just over the Red River. But then the Monday morning clouds, it's like that looks like it's going to be cloud. But it's a good point to shoot for and look at the latest weather update and kind of figure out where to go.
Yeah.
And we went east into Arkansas and then up towards Mena and then back over.
Okay.
And it was like a pseudo scouting trip for me too.
Yeah.
Caught a few new dirt roads. It's like, all right, we're going to check that out.
Yeah.
You know how I am. I go out there and I find shit. So.
Yeah. Was traffic as anticipated?
No.
Yeah.
It was nothing like I was expecting crowds. We only ran into one traffic slowdown on the way back.
Yeah.
And that was eclipse related. There was another one that was construction related.
Yeah.
West of Sherman on 82, and
okay.
They just had it narrowed down to one lane, and everybody was being stupid.
Yeah.
Stuff, and Jan kept talking about that journey because we kept going through all these tiny towns in Oklahoma and Arkansas that had their hand painted signs there, parking $50, and it's like, there ain't nobody going to park there for $50. And
that's crazy.
We went through Broken Bow at one point, and I mean they had super clean porta-johns and trash receptacles everywhere and cleared out parking areas. So Broken Bow was set for it, but it's probably 2 hours before showtime when we went through there, and there wasn't much.
Nobody was there?
No.
Huh.
No. Actually got Jan to use a porta-john because no one else had been there, so it was still spick and span clean. I had to check it out first. Yeah, it's a good one. Go for it.
I mean, that was the other part of the luxury of just the convenience of just walking out the back door. We didn't have a lot of clouds. We didn't have near as many clouds as anticipated. So we had a clear shot pretty much the entire time, especially when the actual moment happened. I tried to take pictures. None of my pictures were worth a shit.
Jan ran into the same thing.
Yeah, I was trying to take them with the glasses lens right on top of my camera, and it wasn't big enough to cover all the lenses.
It doesn't really matter because you're never going to take a picture that does it justice anyway. Yeah. And there's a gazillion other pictures out there. You can say, well, that looks just like my picture would have.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, there's dickheads out there taking way better pictures than me. I'll just look at their pictures. So,
but the convenience factor that you bring up, there's a lot to that. And I'm not knocking my experience.
Oh, no, and I'm not either at all. I'm just saying I have no clue what the traffic was like.
No, that's why. And that's what. The first one I did the one in 2017. We drove to Nebraska for 90 minutes of totality, worth every minute of the trip, as far as I was concerned.
90 minutes of totality.
90 seconds. I'm sorry.
Okay.
90, did I say minutes?
Shit.
No, 90 seconds. 90 seconds of totality.
Yeah.
This one we left at 6:30 in the morning and got home at almost 12 hours later. We did a spin history 12-hour road trip. You know how those go. Yeah. That was for almost 4 minutes of totality.
So you did get almost 4 minutes?
Yeah, pretty damn close.
That's pretty baller.
But here's the funny thing about it. It seems shorter
than the 90?
Than the 92nd one. I've got lots of theories on that. But the main takeaway for me from that one was they were so totally different experiences. If you've only experienced totality once, you kind of say, well, that's what it's like. And then another one comes, it's like first time you have ice cream. And you have chocolate ice cream, but you don't even know what chocolate is, right? Yeah. And then, a few years later, I'm going to have ice cream again. And you get chocolate chip. Yeah. Not a bad thing, but it's different. Yeah. And that's kind of what this was. So my next one, I'm pretty sure I am.
We're going to Iceland?
I'm going to Iceland.
I thought you said you were going to hunker down for the next one and just be close to home.
No, I didn't say I said I'm not going to worry about chasing clear skies. Oh. So I'm going to Iceland for the trip. Yeah. And totality will be part of the trip.
Is there going to be a ride in Iceland?
Of course there will be. And you know what? If we have cloudy skies, it's about the trip. That totality is a feature.
It's still Iceland.
And exactly. And
I was thinking about this anyways. Like, even if it's cloudy and you can't see it, it's still going to get pitch black.
Sure.
And be freaking weirdly cool.
It's going to be weird as hell.
Yeah.
So, Spin History Iceland Palooza.
Color me interested.
Okay. What is that, 2026?
I think so.
August 2026, something like that?
So, I'm not a science guy, but I read somewhere that we're not going to have another one until 2044.
So something like that here in the U.S.
Okay, so that is just continental. It's not. So is that to say that there's eclipses that go on
every year?
Every year.
It
just matters where you are.
You just got to be in the right place.
Okay, so there's going to be one in 2025.
You know what? Now that you mention, I would think there has to be, but maybe it's because I was looking at a video last night, all the eclipses for the next 20 years, and there's several in Australia. It's like, I'm down for Australia.
Australia would be cool.
Egypt for an eclipse.
Wow.
Stargate, dude.
Yeah. That would be pretty insane.
But yeah, Iceland and there's some cool stuff going on, and then North Florida. In like 2044, 2045 or something like that.
Oh, is that where it's going to be?
I think Florida's 2045, but I think there's another one in the U.S. in 2044 as well, or something like that.
That's pretty cool. That's the first time I've actually made a conscious effort to view one. I think 2017, I remember just taking pictures of the leaves on the ground, that weird effect, which was really cool.
Down here, you got the parabola effect or whatever they call it.
Yeah, but that's about it. This was the first time that I've actually set aside time and made a concerted effort to view it. And I'll definitely do it again.
Well, I mean, and the totality aspect of it is what's different. That's the rarity. There's partial eclipses on a pretty regular basis. Probably an eclipse, a partial eclipse. We probably get one of those local every 2 or 3 years, I guess.
Yeah.
But the totality aspect, and and everyone that's listening to this, almost everyone lives around here anyway. They all saw it anyway. And they're going, oh, yeah, we were there, dude.
Yeah. It was cool.
It was very cool.
It was a big to do on social media and everywhere. I mean, it was almost like by the night of, I was tired of hearing about it almost, you know.
Yeah,
but
I get that.
But I just wanted to know what your experience was like, because I know you traveled, and I was just wondering about traffic and how the actual experience was.
The traffic up in Oklahoma was much better than expected. Huh. The ride back was fine.
Yeah.
I've heard in general, like down in the hill country, Fredericksburg and Kerrville and all that, that they didn't have anywhere near the crowds they were expecting there.
I wonder if people just were proactive and got there earlier. Or
I think a lot of people bailed.
Oh,
so there's a lot of double and triple and quadruple bookings that go on. So I'm going to book something in Texas, but I'm going to book something in Arkansas. I'm going to book something in Indiana.
Yeah.
And then as it gets closer, I'll cancel 2 of those reservations and go to the one with the best forecast. Which is that's enough to drive you absolutely insane. Because I mean, literally, up to that day, we didn't know what the weather was going to do here for this one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's Texas, buddy. Welcome to Texas.
Weather is always a factor. The cool thing about it was my daughter and her boyfriend flew in for a wedding that weekend, but they stayed through Monday, so they got to experience the eclipse. And Josh's girlfriend, Kat, came down from Maryland, and she got to experience the eclipse.
Very cool. Very cool.
Getting to share this stuff that's been so cool for me, and I'm glad other people are experiencing it as well. So we should start talking bikes.
Yeah, let's talk about bikes. I've been on the search for some wheels for a certain bicycle that I'm trying to build up. I'm trying to do a budget build, but
I like that idea.
At the same rate, I started thinking, I wonder if I can get
budget build is relative. So.
It is. Because I don't want to rob from my Soulcraft. I think I could take my wheels straight off my Soulcraft and change out my axle kit for my... I lied when I said the dogs weren't going to bother us. But I could change out the rear axle on the wheels that are on my Soulcraft, because I actually have the axle kit. Jesus, Lucky. Rear axle. I have the axle to change out on my Soulcraft, but
check. Okay,
I don't want to start robbing parts off of that, because then it's no longer a complete bike.
I completely get that.
So
I completely get that. All right, so do you have anything for that besides the frame set at this point?
No.
Okay, so you need everything.
I'm about to start amassing parts slowly.
Understood.
There's a couple of things that are no compromise, though. Like, I'm going to run an Ericsson, well, now, what are they called? Bingham. Going to run a Bingham tie seat post, because that's my favorite flavor.
Okay.
And then, I don't know what I'm going to do cranks-wise, but I'm definitely going to build it flat bar, 12-speed, 1x12.
So it's not going to be a single speed?
No. I have my Karate Monkey's my single speed.
Okay, I'm just making sure I'm on the same page.
I mean, there is the thought process that I could turn the Chumba into a single speed and then put gears on the
monkey.
The monkey. But I kind of want the Chumba to be geared. And I don't know why I'm stuck on that, but that's kind of what I'm thinking.
No explanation. Yeah. Okay. All right. So wheels. Geared hardtail.
Geared hardtail. That's the plan. So I've been looking at MTBR for wheels and Pink Bike, because you can reach out and touch so many different deals and stuff. But and I've also been perusing Facebook Marketplace. But I figured I was going to look and see what kind of a deal I could get on wheels before I figure out what I'm going to do for drivetrain. I was thinking that I would do the T-Type, but I don't know if I can get the dropouts in order to make that work.
T-type. What is T-type?
The SRAM transmission. Because that whole Grupo's dropped. You can get the GX now. I saw it a couple places for like $950. And that's chain, cassette, derailleur, shifter, cranks, and chain ring. So that's not a bad deal.
Transmission?
Yeah, they're new.
So how does that work on a non-UDH bike?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I wonder if I can get UDH for that, because that's sliding dropouts.
Okay.
I'm wondering if I can contact Chumba and ask them if they make one, or if it even is possible, you know? Because I doubt they're not machining their own dropouts.
I'm pretty sure they're Paragons.
Yeah, I would bet they are, but I don't know for a fact. And they don't put it on their website. They don't tout who makes their dropouts. That's another shame why nobody gives people like Paragon shout outs.
I thought people always did when they had Paragons back there.
Let me see. I could be wrong.
I mean, I'm not saying that Chumba does for certain. That was my impression for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And I could definitely be mistaken. That wouldn't be the first time.
It doesn't give any kind of a...
Well, let's try this a different way. Does Paragon itself have a UDH?
Oh, yeah.
Conversion for their existing dropouts or whatever? Or
well, I mean, all you would do is take the drive side dropout, and it would be a UDH.
And it would be a UDH.
Instead of a derailleur hanger. So I don't know. Maybe I need to just reach out to Chumba and ask them. Do you have any idea what year that is?
I believe it's a 17.
Okay.
It could potentially be a 16, but I'm pretty sure it's wait a minute. Take that back. Yeah, 17.
17.
Pretty sure it's a 17.
Stella 2. It's UDH, Universal Derailleur Hanger.
Yes.
I'm just going to send him an email right now.
There you go.
I've got him pulled up right now. What are your guesses? Is it a 50-50 thing, or is it a low percentage chance?
I'm going to say it's a low percentage chance. But that's just, that's the pessimist in me.
Yeah. On a 2017, I type like a little child.
Perfectly fine.
Stella.
Steel. I don't think they were doing tie back then, but just to cover the bases.
Yeah. I'll make it parenthetical. That's my new favorite word. That word popped in my head the other day, and I was like, what does that mean? And it just means something that's in parentheses.
It's in parentheses, yes. A subtopic, so to speak.
Yeah. Sorry, bear with me. Yeah, I'm going to send it right now.
Right.
UDH. Right. I think it's probably... I'm going to go with 60 to 75% chance. Okay. I think it's a high percent.
I think the sliders help with the scenario.
For sure. In fact, I'm thinking that Paragon did not change their dropout interface where the sliders are. The only thing I'm wondering is, I guess you could run a UDH with a 142 rear end. I don't know that any of that makes a difference. I'm just trying to think that through real quick.
Maybe it could, though, because of the axle.
Possibly could, but I didn't. These are all questions I'm just not smart enough to even think about.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I don't know if they make sliders that are UDH. So that's still another question.
Understood. I get it.
So
I am definitely intrigued by this project now.
Yeah.
So you're leaning towards a transmission setup.
I'm thinking about it. If I can get it for the prices I've been seeing. I mean, obviously my first choice is to go through my local bike shop. So I'm going to give him a chance to get me some proper pricing on it and see what's going on. But I don't know. We'll see.
Well, and then there's as far as the Mutt wheel set goes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously you can just do the hand-built wheels, and that'll take care of that. You don't have to.
Yeah, I can do that as well. Look at that. What does that look like? That's a UDH right there.
It is.
That might be the girl. I might just order it straight from Paragon. I'll look at it later and see what all the deal is and see how different it is than what's currently on there. But we strongly recommend purchasing both our right and left side T-type inserts for best fit. Okay, that makes sense. All right. That would be kind of cool.
I like the idea. I like the idea a lot.
Yeah. That's the bicycle portion that's been consuming me lately. Obviously, wheels and drivetrain are the major considerations. Then, bars and brakes and stem, that kind of stuff.
Which brakes would you go with?
Oh, we don't.
I had to ask the question.
I know. I'm going to have to save up my pennies and get me some more Paul clampers.
This is not turning into a budget build at all, Brad.
Well, I guess let me correct myself. I think I was trying to do a budget build as far as wheels go. I was trying to see what's out there, especially since it's not the front is boost and the rear is non-boost. I'm thinking that I can just get away with running the 5mm spacer on both sides and using the 5mm spacer for the 6-bolt disc brake or rotor. That's the same thing I run on my Fargo, and I've not had any issues. So I think I can get a decent set of wheels for a reasonable price in that configuration and run that workaround and probably be perfectly happy for quite some time.
More than likely.
So
more than likely.
That's what I'm leaning towards. But like I said, I've just been skimming lately, but I'm on the lookout for a set of wheels. But then again, I mean,
what
I have standards,
I'm about to say, what is your preferred hub? What is your preferred hub these days?
I'm perfectly happy with the 1=1 or whatever it's called, 1-in-1 hubs that I9 did. That's their literal entry level hubs that are on my
agreements.
Yeah. So that's the thing is, as I look at all these sets of wheels, because there's literally thousands of sets of wheels on Pink Bike, I quickly realized that I don't want like some off-brand hub. I don't want like Ringley hubs or whatever, Roval or something like that. But I also don't want aluminum rims. So now I'm.
So what rim are you leaning towards?
I want some carbon rims.
Well, no, a particular carbon rim or just carbon rim?
I'm a fan of the Nexties. I like Nexties.
Okay.
But I also want a particular width of rim. So all of a sudden I'm painting myself into a corner.
What's your preferred width?
So I like a 30 internal, 35, 36 external. And then I want 6-bolt instead of center lock. So all of a sudden I realize I'm kind of putting myself in a niche here. So it kind of limits it. I guess I'm essentially looking for a unicorn at this point. But I found quite a few sets of wheels that were almost there that were like $450, which is not crazy,
Not with I9 hubs.
Yeah, but they had aluminum rims.
Okay.
I did see so that's been consuming me, like I said. I've been looking at a lot of wheels. I don't know why I'm so hung up on that, but that seems to be the first. Like I said, I kind of want and the other thing is, if I wanted 27.5, they're out there all day long. They're all over the place. But most of them are boosts, right?
Right.
So that's what I've been looking at. Here's a set of wheels right here. These are 2021 i9 1-in-1 hubs. It's a 15 by 110 through axle boost, but the rear's 12 by 148 through axle. 29-inch. The hoops are aluminum. $285. That's a fucking steal, But the rear wheel's 148.
Right.
So that's where we are. Like I said, just trying to tiptoe around all that. Just trying to see if I can't find, like I said, if I can find the right set of wheels and not have to spend, a $1,000+ on a set of wheels, then that's going to dictate how I can equip the rest of the bike, But I also don't want to buy a set of wheels just because they're cheap and end up destroying them on the third ride or something. Because I don't pick lines, that's not true. I do pick lines, but
you're not afraid to steamroll shit.
No, I'm not afraid to just point it and go. That's what I've been consumed with lately. Also cooking. I've been cooking.
Wait a minute.
We had our whiskey dinner this
How'd
past
that
weekend.
go?
Freaking amazing. This guy, not me, the rep, the marketing manager for Milam and Green, he didn't have a clue what to expect when he showed up. So he brought, we serve a complimentary cocktail when you show up. And I asked him, I said, we always make a complimentary cocktail. Would you mind donating some rye? Because Milam and Green makes a beautiful rye that's port cask finished. And he goes, absolutely. And I said, well, we have 22 people coming, so we're going to need 2 bottles. And he goes, no problem. So he brings 2 bottles of rye for the specific purpose of us making a cocktail. I made a basil blood orange rye old fashioned.
Dude, oh my God.
And then he brought 9 other whiskeys. He paired a different whiskey with every course.
Oh,
it was tremendous. He brought some whiskeys that not only have I not tasted, but I haven't even seen that Milam and Green made. And he brought a couple of whiskeys that haven't even been released yet. So it was a very cool thing. And he left me a dozen Milam and Green tasting glasses and 4 bottles of whiskey. It was a win. And he was floored. Like, we were about halfway through the dinner, and he's like, dude, do you know how many other reps, like guys like me that do the job that I do, that I can send your way? And I go, threaten me with a good time. And
episode 57 brought to you by Milam and Green.
And then by the time he left, he was like, we need to do this every 6 months. He goes, I need to get on your schedule, and we need to do this every 6 months. I go, once again, threaten me with a good time. So we will do it again. Huge success. We had, once again, I love it when we have new people. And I think we only had maybe 6 people that had been here before. That's always awesome when you get the newbie experience. And they're just like.
So give me the quick rundown snapshot of the courses. How did we roll this time around?
So obviously, since I knew we were going to be pairing it with whiskeys, I didn't know which whiskeys he was going to bring. I tried to make everything whiskey friendly, if you will.
Which is accomplished how?
Big flavors. Let me see. I mean, I can give it to you in order. Sure. I did a leek and potato soup with an aged Benton's ham, so super smoky country ham.
Yep. Smoky country, and what was that paired with on the Milam and Green? Do you remember?
I can't even remember. So here's how this went down. He had all these whiskeys, and he knows every one of them.
Yep.
I didn't get to taste any of them before, so like I said, I just made courses.
Sure.
And this is where this guy really shined. Is I would let him taste it, and he goes, oh, I know, and he would go and grab a bottle. So we did that soup as an opener.
Okay.
Then we did a wedge, smoked blue cheese dressing, homemade blue cheese, obviously, or homemade blue cheese dressing, candied bacon. I did a bacon twill. We did heirloom cherry tomatoes, and then I did a marinated shallot that I did with mirin, rice wine vinegar, agave nectar, and a smoked soy sauce. Then course 3, cauliflower esquites. Freaking awesome.
What are esquites?
So esquites are elotes. We're all familiar in Texas with elote. The elote preparation, as far as I understand it, somebody's going to yell at me, somebody's going to correct me, and please do. From my understanding, elote, that name is reserved for the on-cob presentation. If it's off the cob, it's called esquites, and it can be made with a number of vegetables, not just corn. So I did it with cauliflower.
Okay.
So I took cauliflower heads, cleaned them, and then blanched them to get some flavor into them and to soften them. Blanched them in a number of ingredients that were in the water: salt, sugar, chipotle chili powder to get a little bit of smokiness in there, a touch of jalapeno just to get some heat, bay leaves, And then once they were blanched and softened, I took them and cooled them, cut them into florets, tossed them in mayonnaise, and then refrigerated them overnight. Roasted it off the next day after they temped up, and then did the traditional dressing, lime juice, chili powder, cotija cheese, cilantro. Very well received.
Okay.
Beautiful pairing with the whiskey. I think he did, which one? Unabridged. So it's like 2 different whiskeys. They had the same whiskey that was distilled at the same time. Half of it was aged in Kentucky and half of it was aged in Texas. Then they brought the 2 together and blended them. And there's a bigger romantic story on this, but then they were aged in another barrel, and it's a crazy good whiskey, but it sounded like a lot of trouble to me. But it was delicious. Then course 4, I hooked up with a local chef, retired chef here, through a mutual friend that dry ages Wagyu beef. So I got a 3-pound chunk of dry aged Wagyu ribeye, and I did a cold smoke on that. So I didn't cook it, just put some smoke into it. Then I sous vide'd it 125 with homemade butter and black garlic to 125. I think I already said 125. Cooled it down. Then the next day, dried it off, cast iron seared it, did a homemade chimichurri on the base of the plate. But when I made my chimichurri, after I pulled my beef from the cold smoke, I let the coals get red hot. And I took about half a dozen of those red hot coals and put them in my chimichurri. So it just kind of simmered up, put a bunch of like char and smoke in the chimichurri because I put a lid on it immediately. And then we did a simple salt crusted oven roasted potato with that. It was good stuff. And then I don't have a clue what he paired with that. And then the hardest one for him to pair, we did a pasta, which I think pasta with whiskey is just tough anyways. And I didn't want to do everything meat-centric. So we did a Meyer lemon cacio de pepe. So it had a big pepper flavor, but nice floral with the lemon.
Okay.
And parmesan,
pepper works.
Yeah. And I think he did a rye with that. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then, course 6, red wine braised beef cheeks, grits, and homemade salsa. That's one of my favorite dishes.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so good. And then course 7, we did we called it a nutter better. So I did a homemade peanut butter cookie that looks like, a old school peanut butter cookie, where you take a fork and cross hatch it. So that had homemade peanut butter in the cookie, almond flour, maple syrup, a couple other ingredients, and then piped homemade peanut butter into the center, so it's a sandwich, and then smoked sea salt. Really good, fun little dessert. Then we did a heirloom red masa tamale with homemade strawberry jam and mascarpone, and the masa was hydrated with buttermilk, homemade buttermilk, butter, natural cane sugar, vanilla, and that's a fun dish. And then final course, I made my own gooey butter cake, ice cream with a bourbon reduction in it. We did a Buffalo Trace reduction that swirled in there. That was a showstopper almost. Like, people were like, holy shit, but all in all, everything came out. I couldn't have asked for anything better. Everything flowed great from the kitchen. Derek was on point with all his pairings, super personable. We had, I'd say, a little over half of the people that showed up participated in the whiskey tasting. Some were perfectly happy to pour their own wine, because some of those people didn't even realize that it was a whiskey tasting. They just signed up because it was a dinner. Yeah. And they were like, showed up and they're like, oh, bonus,
Yeah.
So we did have a couple of people that signed up exclusively because it was a whiskey dinner.
Because it was the tasting, yeah.
So much fun. I can't wait to do that again. Not that menu, obviously, but pairing
the pairing with whiskey really sounds excellent.
It was a bonus for everybody involved, including myself.
I'm hoping that one fits into my schedule next time around.
I told Derek, I said, look, I have a pretty hard line. I don't really imbibe while I'm cooking because I have to stay focused. And I said, but when we get to about course 7, I'll probably have a pour. It was about course 4, and I was like, fuck, let me taste it.
You made it longer than I expected.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. And what's crazy is I didn't taste a single whiskey of theirs where I was like, I could have done without that. And I think I tasted all of them.
All of them.
So, and what was cool is at the end of the night, before he left, I go, it'd be a shame if all those whiskeys didn't leave with you. And he was like, oh, of course. And he goes, but there's certain bottles that I have to leave here with. And I go, that's totally fair. I said, I'm not asking you to leave 9 bottles of whiskey with me. And he goes, so he goes over to the counter where everything was, and he goes, I've got to leave with this one, I've got to leave with this one, I've got to leave with this one, I've got to leave with this one. And he goes, so drink all of these you want before I leave. Like, basically, these are the ones I'm taking with me. So if you want some of them, drink it now. Right. And I was like, that's cool. And he goes, but these I'm probably going to forget. So don't bother drinking any of these right now. And I was like, super cool. So we had a blast, man. It was so fun. Everybody was just extremely happy. I had so much fun. And then we went for our bike ride the next day. After drinking all that whiskey, we rode before all the rain came, obviously. And trails were in great shape. We actually did a little trail trimming, and all this wind we've had. There's all kinds of huge limbs on the trails and stuff
down everywhere.
Yeah, but also the privets just growing over some of these trails that we ride. So we carried clippers and did a lot of trail trimming and stuff because we weren't in a hurry. And then rode to our favorite watering hole and proceeded to drink some whiskey and beer. And then rode back to the house and then proceeded to drink some whiskey and beer. So it was pretty interesting. Great weekend. And then Monday, watched the eclipse. It was good stuff.
Not too shabby.
Yeah.
Not too shabby at all.
We'll have a private dinner coming up this Saturday. So it's only 10 people. It's like, meh.
Piece of cake.
So
you could do that with one arm tied behind your back.
Yeah. So what's going on with Spinistry this weekend?
We're basically taking April off from doing events, and we're just doing club rides every weekend is kind of the plan. So,
good deal.
Plan is to do Gravelthon in the Dallas levees
Very
on
cool.
Sunday, and there's a whole new group of folks that haven't experienced the levees and how you get around down there yet. So thought I'd take the e-bike out and see if I can use up the battery.
Very cool.
Did a 50-miler with it Saturday. That
in what mode?
Did most of it in eco mode and man, Saturday was a headwind day too. Mm-hmm. Did most of it in eco mode. The plan was to see if I could. I expected it to do the 50 miles, and it was obviously going to make it. So towards the end, I cranked it up to turbo, and it's like, let's stop fighting the headwind and just plow through it.
Yeah. Adam showed up for a wrench night last night and brought his e-bike, and of course that was the first thing I did was took off on it.
Of course.
He was like, you need to go take this thing up Hilltop. And I was like, well, I'm in my sandals and I'm not putting a helmet and shoes on, and plus I was already a beer and a half in when he showed up, so I was like, I'm not going to be stupid, but I do want to. That thing's pretty freaking cool too.
I mean, there is no doubt there is spoilage in the don't want to fight an uphill, don't want to fight the headwind, just do my pace. And that, I mean, that's the one thing I've been super cognizant of. I'm wearing the heart rate monitor, and it's like, all right, I'm making sure to get the workout I want in.
Yeah.
Hey, if I don't have to go to 190 beats per minute to get up the hill, I'm okay with that at the moment anyway.
You're hitting 190?
Maybe a slight exaggeration.
I was going to say, shit, Kevin. I'm going to be resistant as long as I can. But there's too many influencers around me.
I mean, make no mistake. My goal is to get in the shape to not need the e-bike. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I expect that to be where I get to with it.
I see that whole thing going a different way.
I'm not. I'm really not. But we'll see. We'll see.
I hope that you're able to have a good ride every weekend. The levees don't really get rained out though, do they? The drop downs do, right?
The lower parts get muddy, and when the river floods.
Oh yeah.
Or when not necessarily, but when the river rises, it can create issues.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that part goes. Any news that you heard about this week that we need to go over?
I was looking at news and I didn't see anything that just like.
Did you hear that Scott story?
I didn't. I don't understand that. They dismissed him and he said, "No, I'm still here."
Basically, is what it sounds like.
But that happened on April Fool's, so I don't know what was going on there.
Well, and evidently it was not an April Fool's joke.
Right.
Basically, he said, yeah. For those that weren't aware, the investment company that's the primary investor in Scott Bicycles now dismissed the CEO.
Mm-hmm.
But a couple days later, he said, "No, you didn't. You didn't go about that properly. I'm still CEO."
Yeah, and am I correct? I'm trying to remember this story. We should just do a little Google here, because I think I remember it being he's like a 51% stockholder or something like that.
I don't think he has that much I think it's actually dramatically less, but I could be mistaken. I could be mistaken. I mean, he was the original owner and founder, but I believe he sold the vast majority off, but able to retain CEO. And evidently, I'm assuming, and it's also Europe, so their business practices and laws and guidelines will be slightly different over there, but I'm under the impression he had some sort of poison pill in his contract that they couldn't just let him go like that.
What a kick-ass name, though. His name is Beat Zog.
Yeah.
It's B-E-A-T.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool name. It says industry veteran Beat Zog, who has been an owner of Scott Sports since 1998, says he remains the brand's CEO. I was wrong. A minority shareholder and chairman of its parent company board, despite a news release Friday saying that the board had fired him. This announcement was made to destabilize the company and its employees, Zog told Brain, whoever that is, on Monday.
Bicycle retailer and industry news.
Oh, okay. He said the announcement had been made via a PR agency that works for Scott's majority shareholder, Korea's Youngwon, not Scott Sports. He said the dispute arose from a culture clash between Youngwon and the company. So,
yeah, I mean, who knows whose story is accurate, if any of them are.
But how do you say, no, I'm not going?
I mean, again, depending on what your contract says.
Yeah.
Particularly at those levels, it may be prescribed, well, for this person to be dismissed, these steps have to be taken first.
Yeah,
or something like that.
He does say Zog conceded that Youngwon controls a majority of the board, but said the board did not terminate him correctly. And then in quotes, so far they did it wrong, he told Brain, without elaborating. Then he said, this has to be my secret for the time being.
Yeah, very cryptic. But, what Beat seems to be alluding to there, it was my takeaway from it, is that maybe this investment company is basically just trying to dissolve Scott and maybe sell the name off or something like that. And he's trying to put up the good fight and keep the company intact. I think that's what he's implying, whether it's true or not, or who knows. Now, I will say that I can't. What's the best way to? I can't say that I'm a Scott fan over the years, but I've been appreciative of some of the stuff they've done.
They've had a resurgence. They weren't doing the Spark in the United States there for a while, and then they started releasing it in the United States, and they've had a pretty good resurgence since they've re-entered the United States market, the American market, whatever you want to say, North American market. And they've got a lot of cool stuff. Like, I love their hidden rear shock. It's a cool concept. I love the aspect that it hides it from the muck and the elements and stuff. But it also seems like from a service, and I don't know, I don't have hands on any of these units, so I'm just talking out of my ass. But it seems like from a serviceability standpoint, it would be a little bit difficult. I mean, hell, even getting your sag and stuff set up would be a little weird, I would imagine. But
and generally speaking, I'm appreciative of bike companies that do their own thing,
right,
to some extent, and put their own stamp on things and give it their own personality. I like that. I'm not a tremendous fan of cookie cutter bikes that are, okay, that looks just like that one, that is just like that one, and they're all exactly the same thing.
Damn, real-time response, bro.
What? Okay.
Fucking Chumba right here, man.
All right, and the answer is
yes.
Ding.
Yeah, sorry. We'll come back to that because I want to read you what he said. But
okay.
Go ahead.
Fantastic.
I'm stoked. I think Scott's done a lot of cool stuff. I think, especially in the weight weenie category. There's a guy that I follow on Instagram that it seems like he exclusively does Scott bikes. His name's Danger Home, and I'm probably saying it wrong. But he does a lot of ultralight builds utilizing Scott frames, and a lot of times he strips the paint off and stuff like that. Does the one-piece bar and stem combos, and does a lot of sick-looking stuff. But and that's really been the biggest showcase of Scott bikes that I've seen in quite some time. But he's also in the European market somewhere. I don't know where he is because he's not even he's an ESL guy.
Let's hear what Chumba had to say.
It wasn't just Chumba, it's Vince.
Okay.
He said, "Hi, Brad. Yes, the inserts we carry do work for that." And he even puts a link in here. And he said, "I would not recommend using the transmission cranks, though, since I am guessing your frame is 142 by 12 rear end," and he's correct. "I would just use a standard 51-52 chain line with that and run a wolf tooth transmission compatible chain ring. You will also need the rear axle, but we don't carry one for 142 times 12, so you'll need to source that." Well, I know where I'm getting that.
Robert Axle Project.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So that's cool. That's cool. That makes me happy. Happy. So they're for sale right here. If you order a SRAM transmission from us, we will include the insert set for free. So, okay.
Well, that worked out well.
That's very cool. Add it to my cart. So then I can do that. That's cool. That makes me super happy.
I'm sorry. So walk me through what the recommended crank setup was again.
51-52 millimeter chain line. I can get probably like White Industries, which I like to buy American,
Okay.
I like to.
Okay.
If the budget allows, And I love me some White Industries like we touched on last week.
Well, I mean, maybe that's the theme for this bike. Maybe this is all American.
I'll try. I will try because I can do.
Because I9's American, right?
That's true.
Chris King's American.
Yeah, but man, White Industries makes a dope ass headset too.
Well, no, I'm just saying. What are we down to that may not be? Thompson's American.
That's true.
What's Ericsson again? Bingham.
Yeah, Bingham. They're out of Steamboat Springs, as a matter of fact.
So you need is Nexty American?
No,
I didn't think so. I'm just. Is there an American carbon hoop company?
Yeah, but I'm not paying for those. Can too?
No, they're not American.
They're
hoops.
not.
No, they bring theirs.
They're sourced, yeah. Envy is, but
is Envy American?
Mm-hmm. Revel.
I was about to say, what about the Revel stuff?
Yeah, but they're already out of my budget.
The Revel stuff.
They're sick, and they've got a killer warranty.
The Revel stuff.
Yeah, in fact, I saw a pair of their wheels on MTBR, but I think that they were 27.5. But that would be super sick. But man, they're super spendy. Obviously, I would like to have those. What is their internal on these? 30 millimeter internal width. Holy, it's like they read my mind. But they're going to be, once again, they're going to be 110, 148, which is not what I need.
What I mean, they sell just hoops, right?
Yeah. Jeez. Rim only. Just take a guess how much a rim is from them.
$450.
$799
for a rim.
Mm-hmm. You can get a wheel set built from them with Industry 9 Hydro wheel set. $21.99.
They've gone up they've gone up. Okay.
I don't have that even close to that kind of cheddar.
Well,
we just went from budget build to fuck your budget.
Maybe we can whore ourselves for an episode or two.
Please check out my OnlyFans.
Episode 60 through 69, brought to you by Revel Bikes.
Shit. No, I can't. There's no way I can do that. I can't swing that. So I'm still back to the drawing board on wheels.
I do have a Revel L Heavy Revel. I love that bike.
Yeah,
that's the whole point of getting back in shape on the e-bike, so I can abuse that.
I totally. Yeah, here's a set of their wheels right here, but they're Boost Revel RW27. So that's a 27 internal carbon fiber hoops, but they're $1,800 used. So.
We'll find a way. We'll find a way.
I'm going to keep looking, like I said. There's literally thousands of sets of wheels
I understand.
On here.
But see, now I'm stuck on the made in the USA theme, so we got to figure out how to do that.
Well, here's a Spank, which is a bike company that makes cranks, pedals, hoops, I think even bars. And I think they're an American company. Here's a set of used wheels on here that are, but once again, it's an aluminum hoop. And it's the size I need and everything. And they're, how much were these? $400. And it comes with tires. It's not bad. Not bad. And it comes with rotors. Shit. And it comes with a cassette, but it's an 11-speed. Yeah. But anyways, I'll keep looking. But that's really cool to know and to find out that quick. Who knew that Chumba's response time was just minutes like that?
I expected that response during our podcast, so I was looking forward to that exercise.
That's cool. That's very cool. If anybody knows where I can find a decent set of wheels that fit all the thousands of parameters that I just established, reach out to us.
And he's on a budget, Bill. Don't forget that. There was nothing very particular about that setup at all.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I'd like to do a budget build, but then once I started going through all of the parameters that I had, I quickly realized
my specs don't line up with that.
Yeah, I'm kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth. So
all good.
Yeah,
all good.
What else is going on in the bike industry? I see that Trek kind of dropped their news and then just bounced. I haven't heard any follow up on cutting back on their 10% of spending and eliminating 40% of their SKUs.
Well, I mean that's
going to be a slow develop.
It's not something that's going to happen the next day. That was internal memoranda that was leaked somehow or another.
Yeah.
So that's stuff that, here's what's coming, and we're giving upper management a heads up, which is usually, this is what's happening a quarter or two down the lines. I mean, we'll definitely start seeing repercussions of it this year. There's no doubt about that. But how deep it's going to go, how quickly, super hard to say. At this point.
Going to be? You think that's going to be beneficial or detrimental to consumers?
Man, that's a super tough question.
Yeah. Because
I am such an outlier in that I think the bicycle industry is screwing itself over with consumers in general, where they're practically encouraging all of their consumers to go as direct as possible at this point. And I still feel that the vast majority of bicycle customers should be working with a local shop, a local specialist with their needs. It's just one of those things that it drives me batty all the time. Just all these people with their most basic questions and getting all the bullshit answers online. That's so wrong. Why are you listening to that person? But nobody has faith in their local shop anymore, and I honestly don't think it's the shop's fault. And that's way too much of the people that should have the most faith in the shop are the ones that aren't even consider going to a shop right now, and that's very frustrating. I think that's extremely counterproductive to the growth of cycling in the long run. And so I think Trek cutting back isn't going to help that situation, is a good way to explain it.
Yeah.
All the things we hear in our circles of, for lack of a better term, call it Trek bashing. I don't think that's an unrealistic way to present it. There's still a lot of benefit for Trek having as many local wrenches and local shops in the mix in so many neighborhoods around the country. It's better to have a Trek in your neighborhood than a Walmart for bicycles.
100%. I think we're getting to a point though where securing decent wrenches is getting increasingly difficult. I think we've touched on this before, but I don't know what the snapshot looks across the United States, but at least on a local anecdotal level, I see it as being difficult. I don't know how other shops, because I don't go into a bunch of other shops, so it's hard for me to take a real good look.
But that's the thing about it. I don't think we've ever been at a point in the history of the bicycle industry where the skill set to be a wrench at a shop, it's the highest now that it's ever been.
Oh yeah.
There are so many permutations and variables, and just like we were talking about Caleb building up his bike, he had to go to the manufacturers on both sides of the equation.
And it was still fucking wrong.
Was it still wrong?
Yeah.
Jeebus.
We went to put his cranks in, and his spindle wasn't long enough. So I was like, well, what size spindle did you order? He goes, I don't know. It wasn't and we looked on the website, and there's looking, you can't find anything.
Right.
But then I'm like, well, it's a mountain bike, so you're going to have a 73. You need a 73. So that's where I was confused is, and I could be wrong about this. I've been wrong so many times, we can't even keep count. But it's a cutthroat, so it is a drop bar mountain bike.
Mountain bike in concept.
Yeah, but you have to run a mountain bike bottom bracket, so it makes sense that you have to run a mountain bike crankset, which would make it a 73 millimeter spindle.
That would be understandable logic. Yes,
that's what I see. So I don't think he wants to run a GRX crankset. I think he needs to run, because if you look on even the current cutthroats, like Caleb was alluding to, they're running a race face crank, which is a mountain bike crank, which means their spindle is going to be mountain bike length.
Right.
So we ran into a stop there. We ran into a stop well before that, because when he showed up, I was like, didn't know this was a press fit bottom bracket. I don't deal with this shit. I don't have extruders to bang out your cups, nor do I have a press to install new cups. So he's like, well, let me run to the shop. So he ran to the shop, and we put Garrett's bike on the stand, started bleeding his brakes. And the first thing we did was, I go, before we do anything, we need to check your brake pads. Pulled his brake pads. They're fucking shot.
There's no pad left.
So I'm like, there's no point in bleeding your brakes if you're going to put these shitty brake pads on there, because then you're going to replace your brake pads. You're going to have to bleed it again.
But
Caleb was at the shop, so we called him and said, hey, grab some brake pads.
Grab some pads.
Yeah.
But yeah. But that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
The peanut gallery that was here probably has as much across the board bike repair knowledge as any one wrench.
Yeah.
But that's by committee.
Yeah.
And
then Caleb had the wrong, and not his fault. I'm not throwing him under the bus at all.
I get that.
Because Caleb drove himself crazy with all the research he had to do to identify what he believed to be the correct parts. It to the point that he was even emailing people at Shimano and people at Salsa.
Well, that's what I was talking about. He was going to the manufacturers on both sides.
Yeah. And I was like, because I started telling him, I was like, you should have ordered a mountain bike crankset. And he was like, but when the manufacturer tells you, and I'm like, yeah, well, you're probably right, but he had the wrong adapter plate for his front brake as well, so we couldn't put his front brake on.
So basically the two main things that y'all were having issues with and concerns with are the ones that still bit you in the ass.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
And then Adam's e-bike, he was having issues with his dropper post. It's a Fox transfer, and I go, well, probably needs air. And he goes, oh, I don't know how to do that. And I was like, okay, well, let's. And I took the seat off because a lot of times it's on the top of the seat post, and you have to take the seat off to access it, which drives me crazy.
That's stupid.
But I don't know how else they could do it, you know.
Okay.
So I took the seat off, and then there's this spanner wrench, aluminum, like plug on there, and I'm like, well, shit. Let me get back over here. I'm still working at this point. Caleb's back. We're working on his bike. And I go, hey, use your Googleizer. See if you can figure out how to do this. And, like, I'm not even kidding. Like, 20 minutes later, he goes, oh, I figured it out. I mean, it took him that long. It was like I think Carlos was exaggerating, but he goes, it was like a 2-hour video, and he had to keep fast forward until he got to the part.
Got to that.
Turns out you need a specialized tool.
Of course you do.
Not only to get that cap off, but to put air in the seat post.
Of course you do.
And I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here? Why don't you just run a real seat post?
Okay, along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is my first experience with a dropper post. So maybe this is part of the dropper post experience. I don't know. And I haven't noticed it riding, but it's one of those things now it's in my head.
Mm-hmm.
When I was adjusting the saddle the other day, it's like, God damn, my saddle's loose.
Nope. Yeah.
It's got a little jiggle at the top, and it drives me fucking batty.
But I mean, think about how do you make something that goes up and down?
No, I get, and that was, it's like
in a cylindrical fashion.
No, I spent 30 minutes on it. It's like, why can't I get, it's the dropper post.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah, even the better ones have just a little bit of,
just a touch of play.
Yeah.
Just a touch of play. Just enough to annoy the fuck out of you.
Just enough to annoy you. Yeah. That is a thing. Did you watch the Paris-Roubaix?
I saw highlights from it.
Yeah.
I saw highlights from it.
Vanderpoel, what a
beast.
He had a breakaway, 60-kilometer breakaway solo, just crushed. Just
3.5 minutes at the end?
I think he won by 3 minutes. What was it?
It was at least 3, wasn't it?
But he set the fastest time.
Yeah. Solo, breakaway.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Probably drugs.
I can't speak to that.
But we can speculate. Yeah. Second place runner-up, Jasper Philipsen. 3 minutes behind.
Okay. Maybe his gap was as much as 3.5 minutes at one point or something like that.
Not that I know, but I kind of know. I noticed, on gravel, much like the pave at Paris-Roubaix, you want to be in a bigger gear because you want to be turning and burning. You want to stay up on top of stuff instead of getting down in it to carry real speed. When I was training to go up and do what is called now Unbound, that's what our mentality was: run a bigger gear, stay on top of the gravel instead of drifting down into it. And the chunkier it is, the more it makes a difference. And then when you watch Vanderpoel on the pave sections, he is just killing, just mashing a big gear and just floating right on top. If you weren't looking at the ground, you would think he's riding on, just glass, because he just flows over that stuff. It's insane, but the amount of power, I want to look at his numbers.
See, that's the thing. How much sustained high wattage does that take to pull that off?
I don't know. I don't follow him on Strava, but I'd love to see his power report because I'm sure it's insane. And I'll probably listen to a podcast.
Or is it one of those things? Or is it one of those things you just chew up the watts just on those paves like that
and recover
and recover? On the 30 miles in between them or whatever.
But you don't have a 60-kilometer solo by doing that. You're going to allow the group to catch you because there's power in numbers and they can work together.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand how.
All right, I'm going to keep an eye. Somebody's going to break this one down. Yeah, I'm going to have to look at that one.
Obviously, I don't know how to race at that level. It's a big no shit, but
hey, Dylan, break down this effort for us. Give us the Cliff Notes.
That would be tremendous. I wish I could. I don't see any of his power numbers even alluded to, but I would imagine that it's just insane.
Yeah, I'm going to have to dig into that when I get home tonight.
I mean, he just destroyed everybody, you know? Is there an American-made saddle?
Good. I was going to ask that exact same question.
Because I don't know. Because all the ones that we think of are... Cell Anatomica's made in the USA.
It is?
Mm-hmm. Schlab. I don't know how to say that. Oh, it says made in Germany. Why is it listed under my results?
Wait a minute. Cella Anatomica is made in the USA.
That's what it says.
With a name like Cella Anatomica.
Well, I mean, silk is all in America now.
Okay. That
was another case where old boy bought the brand, the rights to the brand.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says made in America. Cella Anatomica. Of course, it weighs 515 grams.
Is it leather?
Yeah. Okay. Made in San Diego, California.
Very nice.
San Diego. Here's the H2, which weighs 420 grams. But
so what's a Swift weigh these days?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, I'm just trying to get a rough comparison.
Let me see if I can find that out for you. 510 grams.
Really?
Yeah. But that's the one. This one has that. They all have copper rivets?
Maybe everything besides the B-17 these days.
Okay.
I think they upgraded everything.
I mean the Swifts specifically.
I've lost track. The Swift and the Swallows, they kind of got out of their rotation with them a while back. So.
Well, the Swallow weighs 490.
Okay.
But and they don't even make a tie-railed one anymore. That's what I used to run for years until I got tired of replacing them. They don't hold up to my fat ass. Especially not. I don't think they're designed for mountain biking anyways.
There is that aspect of it too.
It's probably user error, you know. I don't know who else makes a American-made wove carbon fiber saddles made in the USA. This is all roadie.
Right,
stuff.
Right.
Can't run a road saddle. But I like WTB is an American made or an American brand. It's
an American brand, but
I highly doubt their saddles are made in the USA.
99.9% sure they're
not. But the Volt is kind of my go-to saddle.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
I can't. The Volt doesn't cooperate with me.
Yeah.
I'm not a Volt fan. I used to like the what was it? The Laser? Was that what the WT?
Yeah.
The predecessor to the Volt. That one used to work pretty well for me.
Well, they had a Bolt as well.
No, I don't think I ever did that.
And then they had a Volt.
Yeah, the Volt does not work. I've tried that on a couple different rides, and that one didn't work for me. I mean, I'm still a fan of my leather saddles, generally speaking, and I'm willing to pay the weight penalty for them.
Yeah, I mean, durability is more of my thing. Like, to me, leather saddles and mud and the shit I ride through is they don't tend to hold up. 2 years out of a saddle's.
You don't think 2 years is enough?
No, not for $200. You know. And well, I mean, I was running Thai Swallows, and I was getting them even used. I was getting them for like $250.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So, and that was 15, 20 years ago.
Speaking of Brooks, I did acquire one of their burrito bags.
Mm-hmm.
And I got that Silka Grinta bag that I'm running. And so far I'm pretty much a fan of that Grinta bag. The Brooks one kind of fell in my lap as a freebie, and so I'm gonna check it out. But we talked about the Brooks bike packing stuff prior, and I would like to see that whole lineup and try it out. I think there's something there.
Yeah, I like it. It all looks super sexy too.
It does. Have you seen the new Camelback stuff?
No.
Camelback now has some bike packing bags.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. They're a little late to the game.
Well, I mean, maybe better late than never, sort of thing.
Is it on their site?
I would assume so.
Camel.
BAK. Camelback bike packing bags. They've got a pretty basic feed bag, which that's nice to come across because everyone else seems to always be sold out of decent feed bags anymore.
Yeah.
But it's a super basic one, but it's $30, so it's half the price of a Revel 8.
I see their frame pack, the Mule.
Yep. And it comes with a 2-liter.
That's pretty cool.
So there's some benefit there.
Well, this says they were teased back in June 23rd of 2023. So it's not new.
I think they were officially released this week. They might have been teased that far back.
Yeah, so here's their handlebar pack. That seems excessive.
Looks very high volume.
Yeah, it does.
High volume, easy access.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for that. If it's
more touring-ish.
Yeah. But I hadn't seen that. But I mean, they had some of their stuff at the Duck, so I got my hands on it and played with it.
Very cool.
It's not bad. Nothing jumped out at me like that's life changing by any stretch of the imagination. But
yeah,
I think I'm more interested in the Brooks than the Camelback. But
I didn't even know Camelback did this yet. I hadn't fallen. I mean, but then again, I'm not in the market for bags.
Right.
Although,
and I kind of am at the moment because I still don't have the setup for the Tributary yet. So I don't know what that is.
That's going to be tricky. Yeah.
It's And I may just fall back on that rack setup from that Aero Spider rack.
Yeah.
Which there's not necessarily a downside to that, outside of I'm just used to doing traditional bags.
Well, what are you trying to pack that you're finding something to pack it in for? I don't know if I phrased that right, but
I mean, at the moment, I can go anywhere with what I have that doesn't require camping. If we do true bike packing of some sort, or I need to carry a sleeping bag or a tent or the cooking accoutrement, then I have to make more room somehow or another. But I don't even know that I am going to do that yet.
I can't remember what the triangle looks like on that.
It's going to be a smallish triangle once everything's said and done. I don't think tent poles will fit in there.
No.
Well, like on my Stella, the tent poles fit in there.
Yeah.
On the Terlingua, the tent poles fit there.
Oh, yeah, that main triangle is a little small.
Yeah.
So I was thinking even if you put a tangle in there, you're not going to get much there.
Well, once you go tangle, then you can't use bottles. So
you can.
Not with that one, you can't.
Why not?
Because I've got a tangle. I can't pull my bottle. I can't fit the bottles underneath it.
You got to run a B-Rad.
Well,
the wolf tooth B-Rad. That's what you look over your left shoulder.
Actually, no, because I've got them almost all the way down. There's not enough room.
What do you mean there's not enough room? You can run the B-Rad, which puts two side by side, which puts them on the outside of your bag.
Oh, okay, that's a different setup for the B-Rad than I was thinking.
Yeah, and then there's another component, and maybe it's still called the B-Rad. I don't know, but it's a slider, so you can put your bottles and you can move them.
That's the B-Rad I was thinking. Yeah, it slides them up and down.
But the main component is the splitter, so it puts two bottle cages, at like 45-degree angles from each other.
Okay. I follow that.
That's a complete game changer.
Well, at the moment, I've added the Arundel El Jefes on the fork, so now I have fork mount bottles. and I've got the 2 regular frame mount bottles. Anyway, I've if it's just 50 miles is my limit, which I don't know what my limit is yet, then probably bike packing is not a realistic pursuit at this point anyway with that particular bike.
Yeah.
So I'm getting pieces dialed in here and there, but definitely awareness of other bag possibilities is just something that's always running through as I'm seeing new stuff.
But you can run a bar bag on there, no problem, right?
Well, I mean that's the Grindle bag I have right now, but
that's for like a day trip or something. That's not for camping.
That's what I'm saying. Man, there's so much shit up there and all the cables and everything like that.
Yeah, you can work around that. Especially with some of the new stuff that they've been releasing. There's quite a few things that I've been seeing lately that take the place of one of your spacers, and it just has a bar that goes out and has like a little standoff, and so your bike bag doesn't come back and encroach on all that. It's a pretty smart thing.
It would take about that much of a standoff for it to work on my setup right now.
Yeah, I guess I need to look at it again, but I think you need a good like I love my pronghorn, but Revelate makes some good handlebar bag setups. I don't know if you want them to. Well, you could do the Sweet Roll. What is it? It's not their everything cage. It's
we're also getting back to maybe it just makes the sense to use that Aero Spider rack, and I can carry everything I need there and with the existing bags I have.
Yeah,
potentially.
But you could do the where is it? They make not the pronghorn. They make, and it's not the harness. It's the one that's like this. That's like the harness, but it's a cradle. It's a hard cradle,
right?
And so you can attach it to your bars, and you can swivel it up, and it will stay away from all your cables.
Yeah. And Aero has one of those too.
Okay, yeah, and that way I like that because you can use any bag you want. So if you're going on a short trip, you can run like a little 8-liter bag. If you're going on a big trip, you can run like a 14-liter. You know.
We'll bring the Tributary next week, and you'll see the.
Yeah, I want to look at it again.
The stuff I'm up against along that handlebar.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
It's not cut and dried. I'll leave it. I'm not saying it can't be done, but
fair.
It's like the rest of my life. It's complicated,
to say the least. Well, I would say go ride your bike today, but it's too damn windy for me. I can't tell people to go do stuff that I'm not going to do.
Go drink your whiskey.
Oh, don't mind if I do.